Hi everyone, welcome to this CFA seminar from EduPristine. Today we'll be going over all the details of the CFA program. So before we begin, just let me know if there's any issue with the audio or the video. All right, let's begin. So we'll be going over some details of the CFA program, the syllabus, the exam patterns, and registration, all of those details, eligibility, everything. And throughout the process, if you have any doubts at any moment, you can either type them in the Q&A section or you can just raise your hand. I'll give you the access to the mic and you can just use the voice chat in that case. So whenever you come across any sort of doubt, just raise your hand or type it in. I'll try to answer them as we go along. So let's start with some of the details of the CFA certification. Now, CFA certification is provided by CFA Institute in US. And as such, CFA Institute is the only institute all across the world that can provide you this certification. So this is one of those unique professional certifications which exist on a global scale. Normally, when we talk about professions like doctors, lawyers, or chartered accountants, every country has its own regulatory body. But in case of CFA, you just have one regulatory body that is operating on a global scale. So this gives you a global recognition, which means unlike chartered accountancy or some other professions where if you are a chartered accountant in India and you want to practice it in some other country, you have to clear some exams, get certified with those bodies. That's not the case in CFA. CFA certification holds true throughout the entire world. It also provides you a very big career advantage, specifically when we talk about the finance and investment industries. So in these industries, almost everything that you do in terms of a knowledge perspective is part of your CFA curriculum itself. And your CFA certification or just clearing the exams, it builds a lot of knowledge that gives you a very good edge when using all of that knowledge in the actual market. It gives you practical skills. Now, this is something that I personally can comment on. So I am associated with multiple professional organizations across the entire world. I am associated with Chartered Accountants, Institute of Chartered Accountants in India. I am also associated with Institute and Faculty of Actuary in UK. So across all institutes, my personal experience when I was a student, it was that CFA Institute has designed their entire course and syllabus in such a way that they are not interested in checking whether you can do calculations or menial tasks. Rather, they are preparing you for the decision making that is going to happen in the real world. So from that perspective, this is not an exam like your graduation exam where you are preparing in a subjective manner. Rather, right from the very beginning, from level one itself, you are going to be preparing with a perspective of applying that knowledge in the real world situations. So it does provide you a lot of practical skills which are necessary in the finance and investment industry. And aside from that, the CFA has one of the most vibrant communities across the entire world. This is something that when you register for the CFA, so we'll go over the details of registration also in the coming slides. But once you register for CFA, CFA Institute shares your contact details if you, of course, permit them. They share your contact details with your local societies. So India has a society of CFA members. And the best thing is that these societies are not restricted only to people who have CFA charters. The moment you register for CFA, even if you haven't cleared any exams, you are just preparing for level one, you have access to all of those society resources, which means you can go and attend the webinars. Of course, in pre-COVID eras, we used to have proper seminars on a face-to-face basis, 2 to 3 hour seminars that you could attend, even as a student. And it builds a sort of community where you, as a student, or you, as a fresher in this industry, are able to meet with some of the professionals with 20, 30 years of experience, very senior professionals in the industry, because you are part of the same CFA program. So as such, the community of CFA professionals is very vibrant community. And once you register, you'll find CFA Institute sending you different webinars and everything that happens on a regular basis. So that is one of the better things, that you are able to build a network just by way of registering in the CFA program itself. Now, today we'll be going over the details of CFA program. So the first slide was just a brief on what the CFA certification is. We'll be going over the CFA program. This would be the primary thing that I'll be covering. So I am a faculty, visiting faculty with EduPristine. So the primary focus of this session is going to be the details of the CFA program. And then we'll be going over some basic details of what EduPristine is and their background, their history. So let's start with details of CFA program itself. Now, CFA program, you have certain eligibility criteria that you have to have some certain qualifications before you can register. Normally, the CFA journey goes like this. You have level 1, then you can appear to level 2, level 3, and then you have a charter. Charter is sort of equivalent of getting a qualification or degree of sorts. Now, no person can skip any level, irrespective of if he has a PhD in finance or if he is not even a graduate. It doesn't matter what your previous qualification is. This journey will have to be taken by everyone. Now, in order to start the journey at level 1 itself, the CFA Institute has just few small requirements. You have to be in final year of graduation. And you should have a passport. Now, a lot of students have this doubt that do we have to go outside India to give the exams? Not at all. Passport is not required because you have to travel anywhere. Passport is required simply because CFA exam doesn't give you a sort of roll number or entry ticket in a very detailed manner. Rather, your passport itself is a sort of a exam hall ticket. So when you go to the exam, you will carry an exam hall ticket that, okay, I'm eligible for this exam, but you also have to carry your passport to identify whether you are the person who has registered for the exam. So for that reason, they need passport. At no point will you have to travel outside India if you don't want to. And you have to be a final year graduate student, graduation student. So the key thing is this graduation can be in any stream, whether it's in commerce, arts, or engineering. All of these are eligible. There is no restriction on what major you are doing in your graduation. The only restriction is you should be at least in the final year so that you can register for level 1. Now, one of the common doubts that often comes up is some students come from engineering backgrounds and they are slightly worried that is it going to be tough? The honest answer is it's going to be just 10-20% extra effort that students with non-commerce background will have to put in, primarily at level 1 itself. Because a lot of what you're studying at level 1 is building a base for level 2 and 3. And for commerce students, a lot of that base might exist from their graduation knowledge or from some basics that they might have covered in school. But that is very core basics. You don't need things like accountancy or anything as such. So it's just that 10-20% extra effort that you'll need to build that base. Once that is done, the rest of the journey is fairly easy. Sham, do you have a doubt? I'll give you the mic access. Sham, if you have a doubt, you can unmute your mic and you can speak up. All right. I think it was an accidental press. Anyways, those are the details for level one. So level one is where you want to register, where you will be registering for the first time. And you just have to be a final year graduation student and you should have a passport. Shravan, go ahead. Unmute your mic and you can speak up.
Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you.
sir. My notice I have did my degree from an open university. Would I be eligible?
Yeah, yeah. There is
Okay,
no restriction. It just has to be a graduation. It could be a 3 year, 4 year open university or a full time graduation. Everything is acceptable.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Just a final year graduation. Now, these are just the requirements for level one. After that, of course, you give the level one exam, you clear it, then you can register for level two. So for each exam, you'll have to register separately. The requirements for level two are simple. You should have cleared level one, plus graduation should have been completed. So if you remember at level one, you should have been in the final year of graduation. At level two, graduation should have been completed. Ria, go ahead. You have a doubt?
Is it important that we should have a degree in our hand, or else, like if I'm in a third year, so I can go with it, like I can give my exams?
Yeah. If you are in the third year, you can register for level one. You can even appear for level one and
Okay,
clear the level one exam. But before registering for level two, you should have completed your graduation.
okay. Thank
So,
you.
like all the forms are filled on a trust basis. So there are certain students who often what they do is they appear for level two also before completing graduation. But the thing is, when you apply for charter, the CFA Institute would ask for certain documentation. At that point, it would fail. So
Okay.
if you follow all the rules, ideally you can appear for level one even without being a graduate. But before you register for level two, they will ask you if you have completed your graduation or not. So at that time, you should have completed.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So level two, clear the level one exam and complete your graduation. And for level three, the requirement is simple. You must have just cleared level two. Now, this journey from clearing level three to getting a charter, this has approximately 3 to 4 years of work experience. Now, this work experience is very unique in the sense that CFA Institute is going to judge whether your work experience is appropriate or not on a case by case basis. So there is no sort of set rules that you must have worked in portfolio management or equity research. No, there are cases where CFA Institute has even recognized audit based experience as relevant. And there are cases where some of the common cases have also been rejected. So as such, CFA Institute would analyze on a case by case basis whether your work experience is appropriate for the charter or not. Now, these 3 to 4 years of experience, you can have this at any time, which means if you are currently working and you want to register for level one, your previous work experience will also be relevant for this 3 or 4 years. So if you're already working in a finance company and after clearing level three, you want a charter, your previous work experience would also be considered by CFA Institute if, of course, they deem it to be appropriate. So there's no restriction that you have to work for 4 years after level three. This 3 to 4 years of work experience can be at any time in your professional journey, not restricted to after level three. Now, exact details as to whether a particular role will be considered or not, I am not in a position to comment on that. In fact, no one can comment on that because CF Institute does not have any sort of details or rules classified there. So this is something that only CF Institute will tell. And in fact, if you try to email them with your particular work profile, they'll also still tell you that it is going to be decided when you apply for the charter or when you become eligible for a charter. So as such, there are no rules. So I'm afraid, Anjali and Sham, I will not be able to comment on whether that particular would be considered or not. So if I say yes, then that would just be a sort of false guarantee. I don't want to do that. Now, aside from all of these details, one common thing a lot of students have is that if we clear level three, and we don't have the work experience, will there be an impact on the sort of jobs that you could get? Like, is there a difference between jobs you get as someone who's cleared level 3 and jobs you get as someone who holds the charter? uh, the difference is mostly 5-10%. The industry also knows that it's just a matter of work experience. So in terms of positions that you get, responsibilities, or even the salary packages, the difference is normally somewhere around 5 to 10%, nothing major. So clearing level 3 still has a very big advantage. So you should not be thinking that if you clear level 3 and don't have the work experience, it's just a wasted qualification. It's not. A lot of students tend to have that belief that they don't appear for level 3 till they have 4 years of experience, because if they do, it would be just sort of making them overqualified, but it doesn't. So I hope that also clarifies all the details. Now, about the exam. So let's cover this in the coming slides. This is just a basic detail. I want to cover this in the further slides. Now, in your exam, you have certain subjects, the topics or the broad sort of content that is going to stay the same across level 1, 2, 3. But your topics are going to scale from level 1 to level 2, then to level 3. So the idea is that you'll be studying the same things. You'll be studying ethics, quants, economics, financial reporting analysis, corporate finance, equity, fixed income, derivatives, portfolio management. You'll be studying these same topics across all 3 levels. But what you study in, let's say, equity at level 1, whatever you study at level 1, this is going to form the base for what you study at level 2. So level 2 is going to pick up exactly where you leave at level 1. And then it's going to build up on top of that. And then it's going to introduce a lot of topics at level 2. And then level 2's knowledge will form a base for level 3. So this is how normally the topics flow. There are 2 exceptions to this rule. One is FRA. FRA as a whole has a very large amount of content to cover. So effectively, CFA Institute is just splitting it into level 1 and 2. As such, FRA for level 2 does not require prerequisite knowledge of entire FRA level 1. The prerequisite knowledge is hardly 5 to 10%. And the second exception is ethics, which has same syllabus, or should I say 95% of the syllabus is same across level 1 to 3. So if you study well for level 1, you are effectively covering around 10 to 15% of your level 2 and 3 automatically. You don't have to keep studying the same thing again and again. So ethics and FRA are the 2 topics which don't follow the convention that you need previous levels knowledge for the next level, but all the other 8 topics do. Now at level 1, I'll also cover the exam structure here itself. We do have details for that in the coming slides, but I think here it would be easier. So from next year onwards, all 3 exams are going to be computer based. Level 1 exams is all MCQ, no negative markings, and you get 3 options out of which you'll select 1 correct one. Your exam is going to be split into 180 questions, if I'm not wrong. Let me just check the exact details. Yeah, 180 questions. And split into 2 sessions. So 90 questions each. 2 sessions of 2 hours with a 15 minutes break. So effectively on the CFA Institute, if you check, they are saying 4.5 hours of exam, but effectively your exam time is about 4 hours. The 15 minutes is the break. So that's what the half hour is coming from. All of this is going to be computer based. You'll get a question, you will have options, you select the right option and you move on to the next question. At level 2 and level 3, the exams are going to be computer based, but as of today, as of the day on which this session is happening, CFA Institute has not confirmed the exact format in which the exam would happen. So as such, I cannot give a concrete information about what your exam form would be. Like CFA Institute had notified these details about CFA level 1, but level 2 and 3 originally were planned to become computer based in 2022. It's because of the pandemic that they were preponed and brought 1 year forward. So we still don't have concrete details. But what I can share with you is that in the existing format, Level 2 used to be a sort of a case study where you'll get 1 or 2 page worth of information about a particular client or a particular situation. And then on the basis of that, you had 6 MCQ questions. So questions were still MCQ, but it used to be case studies. So there was a big case, you had to study through it, and then you had to answer a set of questions. So I'm guessing level 2, despite being computer based, in my opinion, it would probably stay the same. Just that this time you won't have a question and the answers, rather you will have a case study. Level 3 is something that I'm not sure how it's going to be conducted on the computer based test. I am also curious about that because level 3 used to have 2 portions, an essay portion and an MCQ portion. So effectively 2 tests. In the morning session, it used to be an essay where you had to write the answer subjectively the same way you did in your graduation probably. And second session of the exam used to be an MCQ similar to level 2, where you had big case studies and you gave answer to few questions based on that case study. So for level 2 and 3, these are just the formats that existed already, but we don't know the exact details of how the computer based version of these exams is going to happen. But I hope the level 1 details are clear as of now. Now, in order to sort of clear the exam, of course, the general understanding is you need somewhere around 300 hours of study. This 300 hours is a very, sort of subjective element. It's a very high average. Some students who have been working in the industry, they might only need 100, 150, maybe 200 hours. People who don't have any sort of experience in the finance industry, they might need slightly more hours just to get familiar with a lot of the terminologies of finance. Now, there is also another thing that a student does have a query about, that how much should he be scoring, or what's the sort of passing marks. Well, let me get one thing out of the way right away, that there is no official statement from CFA Institute that this is the number of marks you need to get in order to clear the exam. But the general understanding in the community is, so this is just a general sort of community understanding, that if you score more than 70% in your exam, you have a very reasonable chance of clearing the exam. Effectively, your exam results is not, in reality, it's not based on how much you score. It's based on how much everyone scores, because your exam is a percentile based system, which means CFA Institute will sort of come up to a conclusion that, okay, we are going to have a 40% result, which means out of all students who appeared, we'll clear 40% students. And then whoever the top 40% are, they'll get clear. So effectively, it becomes a cutoff system. So you don't have any sort of marks. But the general understanding is if you score somewhere around 70% or 75 or higher, you have a very good chance of clearing the exam in the first attempt itself. So this is just a ballpark figure. Don't keep this as your hard target. Let me know if you have any doubts in any of these details. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next portion. All right, so we've already looked at the exam pattern. Now, for level 2 exam and level 3 exam, one of the big change that is happening from next year is, earlier it used to be just once a year in June, but from next year onwards, it's going to happen twice every year. So that is one thing that is good for a lot of students, is that it's going to reduce the time it takes for you to complete your CFA certification. Meghna, as of now, the exams are still happening in centers, but the exams would have a sort of slot. So earlier it used to be one single day everyone would appear, but of course, due to pandemic and the computer-based centers being smaller, the result is that now CFA Institute is going to give you a sort of a week to 10 days. And out of those 7-10 days, you can decide on which day you want to appear. And on that day, you can go to the center and appear for your exam. Shravan, this slide or the next one? All right. Meghna, I hope that clarifies. All right. So the new structure, as I was saying, level 2 and 3 will happen twice a year. And they have also introduced a new rule as to when you can appear for the exam. So according to that, your effective CFA journey is going to become approximately 6 months smaller, somewhere around 6 months to 1 year smaller than what it earlier used to be. Now, your exam score, or when you get the results for your exam, it doesn't have any sort of detail as to how much marks you scored. Rather, they just give you this detail. So they have three categories. So for example, I say equity. They'll have category 1, category 2, and category 3. 1 being you scored less than 50%, 2 being you scored somewhere between 51 to 70%, and 3 being somewhere more than 70%. And they just give you a tick. And they will do this for all the 10 topics. So that's all the details you will get. You won't know how much exact score you got. You won't know the exact score in any sort of topic. They'll just give you a rough idea whether your performance was good, average, or not up to the mark. Now, for your exam details, for 2021, you have level 2 exam happening in May and August, and level 3 happening in May and November. Now, this is specific only to 2021, because from 2022 onwards, level 2 will always happen in February and August, and level 3 will happen in May and November. So this is going to be the sort of structure that Safe Institute would follow. Level 1, of course, would happen on all four. So February, August, May, and November. So level 1 would happen 4 times a year, every 3 months. Level 2 will happen twice, February and August windows, and level 3 will happen in May and November windows from 2022 and onwards. Now, this would create a situation where you are able to appear for one exam and then register for the next exam in a very quick succession. But they have also introduced one rule that you cannot appear for exams in subsequent windows. So for example, you gave level 1 in May. If you clear the May exam, so let's say you clear it, for level 2, the next window is August. But CF Institute will not allow you to sit in August. Why? Because it's a subsequent window. So at no point can you appear in 2 subsequent exam windows. So your next attempt becomes February of next year. So effectively, earlier this used to be a gap of around 1 year. Now it's a gap of 9 months. So effectively, you're saving sort of 3 months in this duration. If you end up not clearing the level 1, you can reappear for level 1. Again, August is denied for you. August is not accessible. Whether you clear the exam or you fail the exam, August is not accessible. You can never appear in subsequent windows. Your next attempt would be for level 1 in November. So at no point can you register for subsequent exam windows. That's the only sort of rule that they have introduced. Aside from that, you have 4 for level 1 and 2 windows for level 2 and 3 respectively. For 2021 only, you will have level 2 happening in May instead of February, primarily because there are a lot of students who have been able to give exam this year. So there is a very high volume of students appearing for the February attempt. So they didn't want to keep 2 levels together. That's why for 2021 only, February attempt is going to be just for level 1. So all of these details I've just clarified in that our slide itself. the 2022 exams, 21 exams, the structure, everything. And a candidate cannot repeat same level or write next level in the immediate next quarter. Effectively, no subsequent exam windows are accessible to any student. If you appear for one window, you have to skip one and then you can appear for the next one. Now, for study material and how exactly are you going to be studying? Well, you will get study material from CFA Institute when you register for the exam. Aside from that, you also have material provided by EduPristine in case you decide to register for EduPristine classes. Those would be in the form of PDFs and presentations, normally presentations which are used in the class itself. And also a question bank accessible on the online platform, the LMS of EduPristine. So all of those study material and resources would be available to you. Now, one thing specific to this exam is your financial calculator. Not any financial calculator is allowed. In your exam hall entry itself, the invigilator is going to check whether you have the correct calculator or not. And there are only two models, an HP12C and Texas PA 2 Plus. Now, out of these two, it's entirely your choice which you want to buy. Both are available in India via Amazon or Flipkart. And the professional offers some additional functions which are not used anywhere in CFA. So whether you buy BA2 Plus or 2 Plus Professional, it's entirely your choice. So most of those functions are used in other courses like actuaries or something else. So CFA, it's not going to make a difference which one you buy. My suggestion would be that you should go for the Texas ones, whichever you like, primarily because this is the calculator which is most widely used. So you will get access to a lot of calculators. So if you're struggling with how to do particular calculation in a Texas calculator, you will find a lot of online resources very easily. Whereas HP is slightly lesser used one, so you won't find the resources as quickly. So the calculator, only these are the allowed calculators. If you carry any calculator aside from these, you will not be allowed entry into the exam hall. That is a very strict rule from CFA Institute. So you will have to invest in a financial calculator right away. Now, the exam fees at level 1, when you register for the first time, effectively you don't have any sort of login with CFA Institute. When you create that login for the first time, you will be charged a $450 one-time charge. This is happening only once throughout your CFA journey. Aside from that, you have exam fees, which would happen at every exam. So level 1 would happen, level 2, it would be charged, level 3 also it would be charged. Now, exam registration fees, you have early fees and you have standard fees. Early fees is if you register before a particular deadline, which is sort of somewhere around 6 months before the exam. And standard deadline is somewhere around 3 months before the exam. So if you register 6 months before, you only have to pay $700 for the exam. And if you register 3 months before, you'll have to pay $1,000. So at level 1, your effective fees becomes $1,050. At level 2, it would be only 700, and level 3 also it would be only 700. So you're not paying this 450 at every level. You're paying this 450 just once at level 1 itself. From then on, you're only paying the exam fees every time you want to register for the exam. Now, your result for CFA is going to come in this kind of a manner where they have a chart of sorts and they give you details of this being sort of the 90th percentile, that only 10% people scored more than this. And this being the 10th percentile, that 10% people scored less than this. At no point are they going to tell you what the score is. So they are not saying that this is like 80 marks or something like that. They're not telling you this. They're just telling you that out of all the candidates who appeared, where did you lie? This is your score. This is the score above which only 10% people scored. This is the score below which 10% people scored. And this is sort of the average, 50th percentile. So in an ideal circumstance, you want to be as close to that 90th percentile mark, or preferably even higher. in as many topics as you can be, because the more close you are to that top 10, 20, 30% students, the better your chances are of clearing the exam. So this is sort of the exam result that you get once the exam is checked by the CF Institute and they declare the result. This is sort of the PDF, which is also known as your exam report. This would be sent to you along with a confirmation whether you cleared the exams or not. Now, moving further away from CFA program and talking more about jobs and stuff. So CFA does offer a lot of jobs in primarily the finance and investment industry. So you have investment companies, you have wealth management companies, some brokerage firms, some dealer firms, and then you also have institutional investors. So you can have banks or FIIs, which often recruit a lot of CFA professionals for certain analytical works. Now, for the jobs, I do want to bring one thing very clear that, of course, this is only relevant to the current situation. So we are sort of recovering from a pandemic. The good thing is that a lot of countries have now started to make big strides in the vaccine development. So we are slowly getting to the phase where the recovery can begin at a very rapid pace. So for the next sort of 6-8 months, the job market is going to be very dull, not just for the finance, but for pretty much every sector in the world. So you will have to go into the job market with some realistic expectations in that sense. But with finance being one of those core sectors which was not as drastically affected, at least in terms of its operations. If you look at when the lockdown happened, the one thing that was operational was the stock market. Stock market didn't shut down even for one day. So effectively, the markets, the financial markets were operating even through the lockdown, which gives you a sort of strength that the markets are prepared for handling the pandemic. So while the jobs are less, once the recovery happens, jobs will open at a very quick rate. So ideally, that should be a target zone where you should be targeting that. If you have proper qualifications when the recovery process is in full flow, you will get a lot of opportunities at that point. So you will have to take slightly realistic assumptions for the first sort of 6-8 months. But after that, once the recovery process is in full flow, you will get a lot of job opportunities coming up in the finance and investment sector. So that is a good bonus point for a lot of students who are planning for sort of slightly longer term perspective with the CFA qualification. Now, what are some of the job profiles? Well, you have certain names given here. Most of those are about being an analyst. So these are almost all of your entry level jobs. So the job, I'll just give you a basic structure. At level 1, when you registered for level 1, or even after clearing the level 1 exam, most of your jobs are going to be of the analyst profile. You could be a financial analyst or an equity research analyst. And the profile would mostly have you working with a lot of financial information, analyzing it, and making some sort of basic decisions on the basis of the analysis that you did. After clearing level 2, normally you get access to some specializations because level 2 is very highly focused on security classes. So equity, you'll be studying in a very high level of detail at level 2. Same for bonds, same for derivatives. So effectively, after level 2, you have a sort of a option. If you want to change jobs, or maybe within your company, you want to get into a more specialized role. For example, you were earlier a financial analyst, you were analyzing all sorts of financial information, but now you just want to focus on equity shares. So you can go into equity research in a more detailed way. You can go into fixed income research to research and analyze just the bond. So you can specialize in particular securities. And level 3 allows you access to portfolio operations, where you study portfolio management in a lot of detail. So as such, this starts to open a lot of portfolio management, asset management, wealth management opportunities for you. So all of these are just profiles in various scopes across level 1 to 3. So of course, this is just a generalized idea. At no point am I saying that you cannot get a portfolio management job after clearing level 1. It's all possible. This is just a sort of generalized version of what you should be expecting. Of course, exceptions are possible. So you have financial modeling analyst, which would basically be someone working on financial models. Then you have research analyst. Equity research analyst is primarily focusing on stock markets. Credit analyst is sort of your analyst who is going to work on your credit ratings. So we look at companies which work on credit ratings. They employ a lot of analysts to help them analyze all the financial information of the company to give them a proper credit rating. Then you have banking jobs and fund fact sheet. Fund fact sheet is more specific to mutual funds and ETFs. You will cover more details about what mutual fund ETFs are as you go along in your CFA journey. So I'm not going to go into full details as to what an ETF is. That is sort of a very big topic in CFA itself. So most of these are pretty much your analyst positions, and then these are some of the higher positions: project manager or pricing operations, process management is there. So these are sort of your level 2, level 3 based qualification and job profiles that are slightly on the higher positions. You gain control of a lot of major decision makings. Now, within the jobs, you have certain employers that CFA Institute has listed. So this is data from their own website. So this is not just jobs in terms of what companies are hiring. So in India, you can see Citi Group is hiring, CRISIL is hiring, Goldman Sachs, HSBC. So you have your typical big financial institutions hiring across India and across the world. But CFA profession is not restricted to just one particular level or one particular kind of work. If you look, CFA professionals have been hired for accountant auditor roles or chief level executives, so your CEOs or CFOs, even they have had CFA qualifications. You have consultants, you have corporate finance, financial advisors, portfolio managers, relationship managers. So a lot of these roles give you an idea that the work experience of 4 years that we talked about, this is the reason why it is not 100% going to be restricted to finance and investment industry. Sometimes it could be related to something else which CFA Institute might deem to be relevant. So that is a very important factor. Now, to end the sort of session, I'll go over some basic details of what EduPristine is. So EduPristine is one of the authorized prep providers of CFA Institute, and they are part of a larger company, larger group at Telem Global Education, which is listed in New York Stock Exchange. And they have had a lot of students across multiple qualifications. So EduPristine is not just associated with CFA qualification. There are a lot of other international qualifications that they also cater to. And the exam details, or rather the exam material that they provide, would be something like this. So if you register for the EduPristine preparations, you get access to classroom training. Now, this used to be face-to-face classes before the pandemic hit. But as of now, at least as far as my knowledge goes, most of the classes are still just online. If some local centers might have started face-to-face classes, you'll probably have to coordinate with them. So you have classroom training, which is normally your sessions. And in the online version, it's going to be just like this, me teaching or some other faculty teaching in the same manner that we have in this seminar. So you have access to that. Aside from that, you get notes for each format and a question bank on their online LMS portal. Then you have recordings of sessions also. So in case you miss a class, you will get access to a recorded version of that class. And you do have some mock exams and some topic tests for certain batches, and 24/7 online access by way of LMS itself. You do have doubt solving forum as well. So all of these details. For specific details as to what additional features you might get, or different sort of tiers of registration that EduPristine might have, for that you will have to contact someone from the EduPristine sales teams, or maybe they will contact you after the seminar. So I am from the faculty team, so as such I'm not very highly aware of all the sort of details or any sort of benefits that they might be offering aside from these. So for those, you can contact your local center coordinator or someone from the EduPristine sales team. Now, aside from this, there are certain benefits that they provide. One of the bigger ones is that they also provide you soft skills and placement assistance. So along with your CFA, you will have a few sessions about soft skills. So basically job skills that we need. And they also provide placement assistance where they do have a network of connections with various companies, various decently large companies. And whenever a job is available, they do contact all the students who are registered with EduPristine if they are interested. So there is a sort of placement assistance as well, which is provided as part of your EduPristine network. They have a proper network of classrooms across India and also an online platform. So as I said, the online class is going to be exactly how we are interacting right now in the seminar. And the content is comprehensive, regularly updated, and delivered by faculty members. So your faculty is going to be uh, changing. It could change from topic to topic as well, because certain faculties have more experience of equity, so they might only take equity classes. So you're not going to have a situation where you just have one person teaching throughout. Rather, it's a diverse sort of group of experts. And normally the batch size is somewhere around 25 to 30, so that it's interactive and it's a little more easier. One-to-one interactions are also not ignored. Now, your soft skill training would have certain things like proficiency in speaking, self-awareness, ability to understand the communications. So when you go to a job, there are a lot of email communications. And for anyone who is new to a job, a fresher, it is something that we haven't experienced and we are prepared for. So something to help with that maybe. And communicating thoughts with clarity, openness, reason, again, making you more proficient in speaking, and some other skills like presentations, inquiry, all of those. So this is sort of what is covered in the soft skills training portion. These details we've already covered, that you have access to LMS where you get a lot of course content. You also have discussion forums. So this is just a sort of graphical presentation of the same thing we just discussed. Now, for the placement assistance part, they do have a team of professionals who do help you in building a sort of resume and building your online profile, by which you can sort of have an edge when preparing for the interview. They also provide you with interview leads and placement leads. So they do provide you assistance so that you are able to find that first job with a little more ease. Now, placement for this kind of course is very, very important, primarily because in the finance and investment industry, from my experience, all your effort is going to go towards finding that first job. Because this is an industry where experience is very, very important. It's not like engineering or any of the other professions where a lot of what you study is applied in the market as it is. This is one of those industries where what you learn in the market is something which is very valuable. So the first job is what you'll require a lot of effort for. After that, finding jobs is all based on your experience. So placement assistance is going to be something helpful. Now, these are just some of the companies where they have conducted trainings and they have sort of a network that might be of help to you with regards to placement. So details about payment modes and exact sort of structure of the LMS and everything, for that I would suggest contact someone from the EduPristine team. Now, Bashir, about exact number of people who cleared the exam in the last attempt, the exact number for that, you will have to contact someone from the EduPristine team, because as a faculty, I can only sort of give you a rough ballpark of the batches I took. So I only have a few students who are in contact from those batches, maybe that. But if you want EduPristine numbers, you will have to contact someone. Now I'll take up your doubts. If you have doubts, just give me 2 minutes. I'll give you my details. So my name is Shubham Goyat, and I have cleared all 3 levels of CFA as of 2019 June. I have been associated as a faculty with EduPristine for over 2 years now, having conducted almost 300 sessions so far across multiple batches across level 1 and 2. And I used to take face-to-face classes at EduPristine in Delhi, but ever since COVID has happened, I am taking online classes with EduPristine. If you have any sort of CFA program related query, if you have any EduPristine related query, my suggestion would be contact someone from their team. They are better equipped to handle those queries. But if you have any detail about, sort of CFA or how it helps in your career or anything, if you come across any of those queries later on, of course, I'm still here to answer the queries. But if you come across them later on, you can have my contact number. You can contact me or WhatsApp me, whatever you're comfortable with, and I'll be happy to help. So those are the details. Aside from clearing all CFA levels, I'm a student member of Institute and Faculties of Actuaries. I've cleared around 6 exams of actuarial qualification from UK. And I'm also associated with Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So if you have any sort of professional query that you come across later on, you can always contact me. Now, just let me know. Meghna, exact details, whether the classes would be accessible outside or not. In general, they should be, but I would still suggest contact someone from the EduPristine team. Maybe the technical team might be better equipped to handle that kind of query. Shravan, all combinations are good, but in all of them, the common thing is the knowledge that you get in CFA. You're not going to get it in CA. You're not going to get it in MBA. You're not going to get it in any other course. If you're interested in knowledge of financial world, then for that, CFA offers you the most amount of knowledge. So you have to decide in that case. Yes, it is allowed. There is no restriction into time gap between level 1 and 2. So if you appear for level 1 and then you want to take a 2 or 3 year break, it's fine. There is no sort of additional payment that you have to make anyways. And your validity of level 1 exam is lifetime. So you clear level 1 exam, even if you want to wait 30 years before appearing for level 2, it is completely acceptable. No restriction. You can have as much gap as you want. Himanshu, exact details of the fees for EduPristine, someone from the sales team would contact you, or you can contact them. Syllabus changes somewhere around 10 to 15% from year to year. The topics will remain same, but within the topics, there might be changes and updates that happen. All right, now, people who want to have mic access, just raise your hands. I'll give you mic access. Yeah, Himanshu, go ahead. Just unmute your mic. I'll just repeat my contact number. One student was saying it's not clear. It's 97117 40454. All right, Nimisha, you have a doubt. Go ahead. Just unmute your mic.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Sir, is it necessary to score 70% in every subject, or aggregate we have to score 70%?
Aggregate. Again, 70% is not an official figure, but your score, whether you pass or not, it depends on your aggregate score, not specific to any topic.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you share the link for this?
For this link, I think you should contact the EduPristine team because I don't know if I'm allowed to share this PPT or not. I got it from the faculty team itself, so you'll have to contact someone over there. Dada Peer, go ahead. You have a doubt?
Uh, Sir, actually, I went through the online.
Yeah.
So the subjects remain same for all the three levels. So
Yes.
how does we need to figure out what is the portions we need to cover for level one? What is the portion I need to cover for level two,
No,
level
no.
three?
So within these topics, you have multiple readings, multiple sort of chapters.
Okay.
Those chapters are different. So what you study in equity at level one, those would be
Mhm.
different chapters at level two, different chapters, slightly more advanced chapters at level two.
So
So
does it specified by the CFA Institute itself in the
yeah,
syllabus?
it's part of their syllabus guideline itself. So if you go to the CFA Institute website, they
Mhm.
have sort of a very big, like 30, 40 page PDF, which
Mhm.
covers details of each chapter. So what you are going to cover at level one, it's mandated by the CFA Institute itself. Like
So,
it's not something you'll have to figure out as a student. Any material that you get, whether it's EduPristine, CFA Institute, all those materials already have those details sorted. So
and
you don't have
education will be synced with those syllabus.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So what is the duration for this?
The earliest you can do, like if I take an assumption that you register for, let's say, the May exam, the earliest qualification that you can have could be somewhere in 1.5 to 2 years if you clear all the exams in the first attempt. Earlier, the sort of quickest way used to be somewhere around 2.5 years. So you're saving around half a year to 1 year. Brunelsa, I again would like to clarify that 70% is a general guideline. Your passing or not depends on whether others also scored 70%. So if everyone is scoring more than 70, then of course the top 40 percentile would be somewhere higher than 70. So the official figure is you want to be in that cutoff region, but what that cutoff region would be, no one knows. So 70 is sort of the general ballpark figure. Anjali, it doesn't matter whether you study for CFA in India or outside. The syllabus is same, the content is same, so it won't make any difference. Uh, yeah, go ahead, Dadapi. Just unmute your mic.
Uh,
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, I can hear you. You'll have to unmute your mic. I heard you, then I think you got your mic mute again. Is there a doubt? All right, so I think all the doubts that I had, I have answered most of them.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I have one more doubt. How many mock exams will be conducted by CFA Institute? So, do you have any idea on that?
CFA Institute would not conduct any sort of mock exam, but on their registered portal. So you get access to their LMS also when you register.
Okay.
Uh, Historically, they've had 3 mock tests over there.
And from EduPristine, sir?
EduPristine, they normally have differences in sort of various batches. So for
Okay.
that, you like the best information would come from someone who would be from the sales team of EduPristine. For anyone who needs contact, like I do have a few doubts coming in that who should we contact, go to edupristine.com. You'll have the contact details there, and
Okay.
they'll connect with you. If you submit your details, they'll connect with you. They normally are very quick with those responses. So you'll
Okay.
have
Thank you so
someone
much.
from EduPristine team contact. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dhamike Prasad, you can You can message me. It should show up. This is the same contact number for the WhatsApp. Jasneet, go ahead. You have a doubt. Just unmute your mic.
Sir, is it possible that we give a first exam in India, and if we plan to study abroad or we shift abroad, and we can give the level 2 in that particular country?
Yes, yes. So for every sort of exam registration, the CFA Institute asks you for your center. So there
Okay.
is no restriction that if you have an Indian passport, you can't appear anywhere else. Passport is just sort of your ID proof that they think is valid. They don't take driving license or anything as such. So passport is just an ID proof. Aside from that,
Okay.
it's your choice where you want to appear for the exam.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. So I think that covers all sort of doubts and queries. Again, if you have any doubts relating to EduPristine LMS or fee structure or their LMS features, just go to their website. You'll get all the information, or just drop them a message or they'll contact you. If you have any doubts about the CFA program in general, you can contact me or message me. So I'll keep it at that for this session, and I hope to see you soon in your CFA journey.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.